Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Laura, can you just note board members present and administrators? Okay, board, you have an agenda in front of you. If you could take a look at it, see if there's any changes or anything that needs to be updated on it. Okay, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 7-0. Next up, we have the consent agenda. First up is the approval of the meeting minutes from March 20th, 2023. Approval of accounts payable in the amount of $536,976.41 for the month of March 2023. Approval of the treasurer's report dated March 31st, 2023 with a balance of $21,896,012.40. And then next up is the approval of new hires, transfers, resignations.
Yes, so we have Molly Ray, who couldn't be here today, but she will be the new Eastern Service Area Director, replacing Jananne when Jananne retires. Whoops, sorry. So we'll get you an opportunity to meet with her later. I think she had a board meeting as well tonight. Jenna Kahila, she is our new early childhood for Eastern Service Area. And then we have a couple of folks, actually some students who have gone to work over at our child care program. So we appreciate the fact that they wanted to help because we do struggle with staffing there. And then just a couple of resignations, and that's all.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. I'll support.
Roll call vote, please.
Wilkes,
Yes.
Corsi,
Yes.
Shute,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Eberstein,
Yes.
Overgaard,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, next up under reports is community input for agenda items only. And I'm just going to go over a couple of things here. I know there's probably a few of you that are here to speak on behalf of a book. So I just want to share that Ms. Summers, the superintendent, will be going over in reports some information regarding that also. Oh, yes, and if you haven't signed in and you do want to speak, the sign-up sheet is right over there, right where you walked in. Everybody will have 3 minutes. It is timed. You will come up, just state your name and your purpose of what you're here for. If there's a group of people coming together, you can speak as a group, whatever's most convenient. But just remember 3 minutes is your time limit. And if there's anybody else that needs to sign up, Laura's got it there. Thank you. And if when I call your name, you're for the second one to sign in today, just let me know that too. First up is Grace, sorry, hope I get the name right, Gein?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
My name is Grace Geen. I am the Director of Communications at Outfront Kalamazoo, an LGBTQ plus resource center in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm speaking regarding the book ban that you have going on. As an educator, I used to be an elementary teacher, an adult education teacher, and a college professor. And also, I am the parent of 3 sons, one of who is a trans male. Banning books will not ban LGBTQI people. Banning books will insert even more censorship into public library space. Beyond the slippery slope issues involved, the bad messaging is that LGBTQIA people are wrong and are being ostracized as if there is only one way to be. We stand against that thinking. There are many ways to be, as there are people in this world. Other people exist. Reflexively banning other people's existence, trying to ban them, to ban mentoring them, banning concepts about them, and banning books about them in any public space will not change the fact that LGBTQI people do exist. Our job as parents and as educated adults is to prepare our students for a world that includes all types of people. If you are uncomfortable with the book, choose not to read it. So many spew the terms freedom and God-given rights, but then exert their level of comfortability by using a book they dislike as support for eliminating it for others to read, thus eliminating freedom and choice for others. What would your reaction be if the shoe were on the other foot? If it seems wrong in that case, then it should be wrong in this case. What is the threat? What is the harm? What is the danger? Being truthful about your identity is not harmful or dangerous to anybody else. And book banning by pressure groups serves as an unelected, non-voting way to influence an entire community against their will and speaks for the whole community. Is this how the whole community feels? Put it on the ballot if you so choose. Book banning is a cowardly way to advance your agenda. If you dare to put it on the ballot so the whole community can weigh in, then I think you will see where the community's interests are when all voices participate. This community should focus on educating all children, all students, not just the ones you deem worthy of a narrative that does not include all children. Thank you.
I'm loud, so next up is Jared Kaufman.
Hello, I'm Jared Kaufman. I'm also here on behalf of the book review. Denying a voice its right to be heard is not what free communities do, especially when that voice is already denied and silenced on a national, state, and personal level daily, especially when the community in question supposedly prides itself in acceptance and inclusion, especially when the reason that voice is being denied is because of the opinions of a small number of community members. Everyone should be able to feel heard and seen, but when 1 or 2 people can hide and silence a voice that represents many, that isn't freedom or acceptance or inclusion. That is showing those many that they matter less than those few. That is hate, that is fear, that is oppression. As a place of education, we need to make sure no voices are denied and everyone is safe and accepted within our walls, even if doing so is slightly uncomfortable. Banning books shows our students certain voices are to be silenced and denied. Banning books shows that we are, as a school, as a community, are afraid of being uncomfortable when it comes to making an exclusive, welcoming, and safe space for all of our students, because we are afraid of the opinions of a few. Removing, pulling, hiding, or restricting books tells our students who may not feel welcome or safe or heard anywhere else in their lives that they are not welcome, safe, or heard here either. Banning books emboldens hate. Banning books encourages ignorance and fear. Banning books lets fascism in, and banning books denies a voice its right to be heard. Thank you.
Next up is Eric Curtis.
I'm going to speak on behalf of GAEA as the president and also as a high school teacher. So the first part I'm going to talk about is as union president. Okay? I know the superintendent evaluation is on the agenda for tonight. Just wanted to follow up again. I've asked a couple times this year about staff input, student input, community input. Are we having a discussion about that? If so, is there an anticipated date on when we would have that input added to the evaluation for the superintendent? Also, in looking over some of our documents, I believe our superintendent was giving a 2-year contract renewal last year. And I think her contract says she can only get a 1-year contract extension. So I don't know if that's a discrepancy or how that needs to be addressed. Also wondering about a Zoom option or a YouTube option or another option for people to join in for the board meetings. We have a lot of busy teachers that would love to be here, but they've got young kids or other things, and they would like to tune in if you guys had a Zoom option or YouTube option. Just another thought. I know we had the recorder here the one time, but I haven't seen it since. So I don't know if it's being recorded somewhere else or what. But high school teacher. I'm an English teacher, so I take things with books very seriously. I'm not going to comment on any of the sides. I think kids should be able to just read what they want to read. If they don't want to read a book, they don't read a book. Okay? My concern is that we have had zero discussion and information as a high school staff about what's going on. And I've had parents contact me, community members contact me, retired teachers contact me in the last week asking me what's going on. I have no idea because we've had zero communication from our building and our district about what we're supposed to do. I haven't engaged those conversations, but it puts your teachers in a very awkward position, especially your younger teachers, that I don't think we should be put in. And then my last concern or question is, who is responsible for selecting the review committee? Or who has been selecting the review committee? Can you give me that answer? No answer?
Yeah, we can't.
So it's a mystery?
answer questions in public input, but we'll get you the answer.
You're following board policy, though? 100% following board policy, but you can't give me the answer.
During public input, we
Okay.
can answer questions.
All right.
Sorry.
We can talk, Eric.
Okay, next up is Ashley Kaufman.
Hi, I'm also here to speak about the book that is being challenged. I feel like there's already been a lot of things said about the idea behind the banning of books and the silencing of voices. If you're going to choose to go off the content of the book itself, I would question how many people challenging the book have actually read it. And I would like to bring to your attention the Oxford Dictionary's definition of pornography, which is printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate erotic rather than aesthetic or emotional feelings. If anyone challenging the book has read the book, I would like to point out that that is definitely not the intended use for those images. The intended use for those images is entirely to show the aesthetic and the emotional everything that book contains. That book is definitely a voice for people who are struggling with their identities in this area. The fact that it uses pronouns that are very seldom found in other representation is highly important to people who need that resource. And I would really like for people to question that as they look at themselves and think, yes, I want to ban this book based on one image that seems to be circulating without context. I would really, really love for people to actually read the book and reconsider.
Next up is Jesse Berlinski.
Hello. I have one quote that I want to say that tends to lead to when a small minority tries to overcome the masses. It's simply no to decadence and moral corruption, yes to decency and the moral state of the family. That was from Joseph Goebbels.
Next up is Jennifer Zimmer.
Hello. I am a resident of this district and a mother of a graduate of this high school. I'm also a librarian, and I actually did my graduate internship here at this library. And I just found out about this today, so I didn't really have time to prepare. But some of my concerns are that, and hopefully they'll be addressed later in the meeting, that I would want to make sure that the materials reconsideration policy is being followed properly. And then I would also be curious what the materials selection policy says, and if there are, in fact, ways that this book does not meet that criteria. It is an award-winning book, and it's a very... I would also, I guess, my concern would be, does it stop with this book? I think that this is a book that people have latched onto because they can take a drawing that they think is explicit and say that it's about that and that it's not about attacking LGBTQ students, which unfortunately is happening so much right now. I work daily with LGBT students, and for me, as I'm also a former high school teacher, and I taught the film Schindler's List that has nudity in it. And it just seemed to me that at the time, the importance of teaching the history of what happened with the Holocaust and the educational value of that film just outweighed that, okay, there's some nudity. My basic bottom line, what I want for all of our students at GA and what I want for kids all over, I have so many hopes and dreams for them, but I want them to live. And trans and non-binary students and other gender non-conforming students have an exponentially increased risk of suicide. And to me, the idea that a cartoon drawing could be more important than that is
Thank you. Next up is Christine Babcock.
Hello, my name is Christine Babcock, and I am a child care provider. I am here tonight because I believe that all of your students deserve belonging at school, at home, and in the community. Belonging fosters learning, responsible citizenship, productivity, and pride. I'm also here because the administration decided to remove a book from Galesburg-Augusta's high school library and apparently has the intention of removing any similar books. What does that mean? Coming-of-age books? Books about families? Books about adolescents navigating new schools and going to college? Because that is what I read in this book. What it sounds like to me is that there's a dog whistle for books that include or center LGBTQ people. And it is, isn't it? That's what's happening. And because we have been in an intense culture war, emotions are high, convictions are strong, and school board attendance has multiplied like the loaves and the fishes. Reading books with LGBTQ characters saved my life as a teenager. I'll introduce myself again. I'm the daughter of generations of conservative ministers. My parents fell in love at Bible college, and I spent my formative years on the mission field before my family moved to a one-stoplight town in rural Michigan, population 2,000, and there were 11 churches. When I was 15, I had a crush on a castmate in our school's drama production. The rumor mill churned, and my parents found out that I was queer before I was ready for them to know. And I started to feel the tethers of my belonging snap. School of choice was new then, and ultimately my parents pulled me out of school and enrolled me in a new school. My schedule was restricted to church, youth group, and school. I missed the rest of marching season. I wouldn't be in chamber choir. And my new school didn't even participate in all-star band. I'm a nerd, all right? I was 15 at a new school, experiencing anger, frustration, shame, and feeling incredibly alone and perpetually suicidal. This was before marriage was legal, and actually right after a huge anti-marriage campaign had taken place in Michigan. The culture war around LGBTQ people was high then, too. So LGBTQ books saved my life. Reading stories about people like me saved my life. Your students deserve to have a chance to feel belonging. Your students deserve the chance to get excited about books, to see themselves in books. Your queer students and your other students. It's tempting to share more of my story, but I won't because I don't have time. What I really want to make clear is that queer people belong here in Michigan and in Galesburg-Augusta. And I need your students to know that even if their network of belonging falls apart, we're right down the road under the rainbow flag with plenty of books, flags, and people showing up for each other in big and small ways. And I need you to know that I will advocate for your students' right to be in school, just as they are. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Tracy Hall.
Good evening. Can you hear me? First, I want to say thank you to each one of you for being here. I know I've been in your position before. This is not easy. And yeah, you don't have to respond, so I just wanted to back you up. But you could also get on YouTube, ask the county. It's really easy. They'll walk you through. Call a county administrator. Anyway, as a former public official, you have my deepest respect. I am the executive director of Outfront Kalamazoo. We are the LGBTQ community organization and resource center, not just in Kalamazoo County, but in Southwest Michigan. And books are incredibly powerful. We have our own library at the center. And the fact that people are trying to ban them just speaks to that. Through books, we can see ourselves and the world around us. At least young people today can, because when I was growing up, I'm a Gen Xer, we didn't have books about me. Not even close. But the straight books did not make me straight. Public schools have a duty to find books for the library that reflects the lived experiences of their students, whether queer or not. All students deserve to see that, no matter who they are. There's something incredibly meaningful about seeing yourself in books, movies, and plays. When LGBTQ plus students are denied access to these stories, they are denied a sense of belonging. For queer students, books validate their existence. When a community says a book being banned from the library because of its LGBTQ theme, it's telling students there's something wrong with you. There's something that needs to be legislated, challenged, and fixed. That their identity is up for debate. There's something about that's up for debate. There's nothing about queer students that's up for debate. That is very harmful to their self-esteem and the way they see themselves in the world. Somebody already mentioned the high suicide rate within the community. It's not because they're queer. It's how society reacts to them. I may sound hyperbolic when I say this, but this is a matter of life and death. This hateful rhetoric and all the displays we're seeing across the United States are incredibly damaging to young people. It's gross and it's sickening. Please rise above this political fray and put your students first, all of your students. If you haven't read the book, I encourage you to do so. I encourage you to look at the book like the Supreme Court is supposed to. Look at the whole book, not just a passage here or a passage there. Also, I purchased 5 books to donate to out front. If anybody needs genderqueer, you can come down and see us. Thanks.
Okay, that was the last one, so we'll continue on with the agenda.
Can I add in?
Yes. I'll add Jen.
Sorry, this is unplanned. Kevin Nigg, community member. I see a lot of people in this room, maybe 20, 30 of them I've never seen before, so I appreciate them coming out with their interest. I do have 3 kids in this school. I don't believe anyone that's spoken yet has any kids in this school, in this building that use this library. I'm not afraid of this book. I don't think this is about the content or the theme at all in any way. Maybe it's just about some pictures, some graphic content in there. The truth is, if you had one of your students drawing one of these pictures and handing it around class, what would you do without the context of the book? I also understand that there's one of the first words that came out from your out front person was book ban. It's very exciting to have a ban. Look at all the people that come out when you say the word ban. No one up here has said the word ban. Your administration hasn't banned anything. We're looking for a common sense review of content in the library based on what we want our kids to be exposed to. It's not about LGBTQ. It's what they've made it by bringing in the press and all their friends. This is our decision, our community. Our executive leader can remove content pending review. The same way you would remove a student if he had a drug, caught with drugs in school. Then you remove the student now, you do an expulsion hearing later. That is what I understand is happening here. You've pulled a book because it's questionable, and you're going to review it. There will be a council, and it'll be administered. And I trust this board to do that. Thank you.
Okay, next up under reports is Superintendent's Excellence Award.
We gotta make sure we have batteries next week. You what? All right, this is the fun part of every board meeting. We have several students tonight that we are recognizing receiving the Superintendent's Excellence Award this evening. And so we'll start with the first. And it'll be Aubrey Terry. Hi, Aubrey. Do you want to try and hold this? To which teacher? I know you had a couple of teachers who nominated you. Miss Smith. I can't quite see. There she is. All right. Maybe Miss Smith can also help hold the award. Yeah, or the baby. Sure. Board of Education, it is my pleasure to share that Miss Smith has nominated Aubrey Terry for the Superintendent's Excellence Award. Aubrey is currently a 12th grade student and has been nominated for the following reasons. Academics. Aubrey is one of the most dedicated GA Rams I have ever met. Despite her struggles during the COVID shutdown and having suffered the worst loss imaginable, Aubrey persisted. Aubrey persisted, says Miss Smith. She woke up every day to report to Zoom classes. She learned a new way to complete assignments. Sorry, can you see me over there? All right. And she submitted her classwork. And sadly, she lost her beloved Papa. Aubrey has been a little teacher ever since she was in Hogan Stanley's 5th grade class. She led her friends to success and comforted her other friends in times of need. I think Miss Hogan Stanley is out there. Is she not? All right. Yeah, she's out there. Aubrey continues to be a leader, a teacher, a big sister, and a friend. Here is a senior, peer mentor, and active participant as a GA RAM. Some of her leadership roles is that of being a peer mentor. She's dedicated, demonstrates perseverance and determination, and she is unintimidated by challenge. That's what we like in our GA RAMs. Yay! She participates in the following: peer-to-peer, mother to her almost 1-year-old. Her volunteer activities also include helping students with special needs in art and at other times outside of her peer mentoring duties. And Ms. Smith shares that Aubrey also works 2 jobs. Please help me in celebrating the achievements of Aubrey Terry.
All right, say team on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Team on 3. Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Spoke very highly of. What is this little person's name? You'll have that picture sometime in here. All right, next up is Nolan Becker. Okay, it is my pleasure. I didn't see if Trish Pollard made it tonight. Yes, she is. Okay, it's hard to see. Come on up, Miss Pollard. Did another teacher also?
Not for Nolan, but for the next.
Okay, all right. I knew there was a lot of recommendations this month, which is awesome. So Miss Pollard nominated Nolan Becker for the Superintendent's Excellence Award. The student is in 12th grade, has been nominated for the following reasons. Nolan has been on the honor roll every year. His current GPA is 3.86. In class, Nolan is a hard worker. He utilizes his class time and he is willing to help others when needed. He is a role model to his peers. They look to Nolan when they need additional assistance or clarification. He is also the captain of the varsity baseball team for 4 years. Has been a peer mentor in his junior and senior year. He's been also a football player, baseball player, soccer player, and even a former travel baseball player. Nolan volunteers at his grandmother's church pantry. He also volunteers through his various sports teams. For example, they picked up wood and transported it for an older gentleman. They also help run the concession stands. Ms. Pollard would also like you to know, simply put, Nolan is an amazing human being. He is a great role model for everyone, students and staff. He's kind, caring, humble. He does not need and he does not seek attention, but he deserves to know how truly amazing he is as a person. He's polite and respectful in every way. Please help me recognize Nolan Becker. Awesome. What was your thing? 1, 2, 3, what?
We're gonna say cheese this time.
Okay.
Cheese on 3. 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
Cheese. Congratulations.
Good job.
Yes, thank you. That's awesome. Good job. Good job, Mom and Dad.
Yes.
He's the dog. All right, Teddy Swager, are you here? And this would also be Miss Pollard, Mrs. Pollard, and Mrs. O'Donnell. Did Mrs. O'Donnell?
I don't think she's here. No.
She isn't. Okay, so we'll put Miss Pollard up here. All right. Teddy, I'd like you to hold that. Hi, Dad. And I have We actually have two nominations. Two teachers nominated Teddy, so I'm gonna. I don't know if I can, balance the two. So you might hear some similar things.
Do your best.
Do my best. That's what it takes, right, Teddy?
Yeah.
All right. So Teddy is also in 12th grade, and he has been nominated for the following. Quote: Teddy is a phenomenal student. He has been on the honor roll for 4 years in high school and currently has a cumulative GPA at 4.1. Teddy strives for excellence in the classroom. He continues to enroll in academic classes that are challenging, and he never looks to take the easy way out. Teddy is a leader among his peers. Currently, he is the manager of the GAHS High School Student Store, and he is a peer mentor for English 4. Teddy is always willing to help his peers when needed. He enjoys learning alongside his peers and helping others. After school, Teddy works at the Rooster's Call on Gull Road. He held a part-time position for almost 2 years, obtaining flexibility as a cook, dishwasher, expo, and a host. Teddy is the first person to volunteer to help others whenever needed. He's willing to help his peers in class whenever they have questions or need assistance. I'm going to read the other one next. Teddy also received the K-RISA Outstanding Senior Award. He manages the school store, trains special needs students, got that one, and he advocates for his peers of special populations. He works part-time, manages those extracurriculars, and just goes above and beyond with both school, extracurriculars, and also job. Not always what everybody can really keep up with and are not always willing to do. Miss O'Donnell says, if I could clone Teddy, I would. He is the student that every teacher loves to have in their classroom. He turns his assignments on time and with exemplary content. He has challenged himself in the academic career with honor classes, the school store, working outside of school, and holding himself to a very high standard. Teddy is deserving of all the world has to offer. Please help me congratulate Teddy. Thank you very much.
Smile, please, on three. 1, 2, 3.
Smile, please, on 3. All right. Congratulations. Yeah, and best
Thank you.
wishes for after high school.
Next up under reports is the Above and Beyond Award, or awards.
Yes. We have 2 Above and Beyond awards this evening as well, so how exciting. We have a lot of people who go above and beyond at GA, and there is no doubt that both of these individuals tonight are deserving. So first up, Olivia Fox. Mrs. Fox, are you here? I'm going to start out with a story. I hope that's okay.
I don't know what it's going to be, but okay.
So this past Tuesday, I think it was last Tuesday, we were having our district leadership team, and I said to Frank, our facilities man, I said, Frank, can you please figure out how to get that little building out by the tennis courts painted? It looks awful. And he says, it's already done. I'm like, what? And this is part of the reason why Ms. Fox is standing before you. Not only is she a very, very dedicated teacher putting in lots of hours, and I'll share a little bit more, she has started tennis coach as a tennis coach for our middle school young people, and I've watched her practice, right? There's a lot of work to be done at the middle school level, which is great. We want to grow those tennis players. She took it upon herself to ask Frank, right, our facilities, Mr. Couch, the facilities manager, for paint, I understand, and her tennis team went out, and really the paint was just peeling. It looked awful every time I drove to school. And we knew we needed to get out there, right? We've got this other great, big, beautiful facility happening. So sure enough, I was told that the middle schoolers did the best job they could. They reached as high as they could, right? And there was a lot of paint on the grass, but that's okay. And Olivia, just to go above and beyond and do that for GA just speaks volumes about who you are. So thank you for that. And the other things I want to share, because some of the board may not know this also, is that Olivia has a Spanish degree, and she is our EL coordinator, so English learners, right? Every district has to have one. And she has taken on this role as well as her classroom teaching role. It's a new thing to learn for all of us. Lots of big districts have had these folks for a long time. GA is just trying to get on board. We don't have a lot of second language learners, but we certainly have some. And so between her and Sean and Teresa, they've been working hard to create a system to make sure that our second language learners get that support. And that's on top of being a first grade teacher and also part of our district leadership team. So, and also coaching volleyball, right? She did that as well. So she's just an amazing third-year teacher at GA, and we want to thank you. This is an above and beyond pin, and your very special GA pen. And thank you, everybody. Thanks, board. And oops. We also have another above and beyond, and that would be Chuck Hadley. Coach Hadley, are you here? I think there are a lot of faces here, Coach, that are here to support you this evening. What do you think?
Now they can't recognize themselves.
Of course, the first words out of Coach's mouth when I say, "Can you please come Monday night?" He says, "I have no idea what I've done to deserve this." Why? Because he's that humble of a gentleman, right? He gives all the credit to his coaches and his team. I'm going to say a few words, and then I think there's another person who wants to say something also. So this is Chuck Hadley. He joined us 2 years ago, taking over our football program. And since then, he's been able to increase the number of players and also done a lot of other phenomenal things, not just showing up at football games, but showing up throughout the whole school year and the summer. This is actually from one of our board members. Chuck and his family are a great addition to our school and community. He comes to school often to greet the kids in the morning. He works countless hours for our students. Every July, Coach Hadley hosts several area school annual lineman challenge. You can go out here in the back and there'll probably be 25 buses of different districts that come for this great event. And he paints all the bricks himself. I actually got one myself. It's in my office. Not that I did anything to win it, but the linemen, what's that? I hired you. That's what I did. That's right. There you go. Then the following week they host the annual football golf outing, and that's been a very great event that brings in monies for the program, brings alumni back into the community. And GA has worked really hard in the last couple of years of building pride in our district and among our staff, and that's exactly what Coach Hadley stands for. He is cheering on our kids every chance he gets, not just for those on the football team. He has senior breakfast preseason to talk with the boys and get ideas for the upcoming season. And he is famous, team barbecue with a huge slip and slide? A slip and slide, and at the same time, the team barbecue. I expect an invitation next year, Coach. The boys just have so much fun. Often they go to his house to swim in his pond, and you never know that the Hadleys just became part of our community just 2 years ago. Every time you turn around, they are there doing something great for our kids. We are truly blessed that they have come to GA, and I know that many now call you good friends. And that's what going above being a coach is all about, isn't it? So just a couple of rundowns. He coaches football, runs the off-season lifting program 4 days a week. You will find him here about 6:30 a.m. And he has a real job too outside of this. He takes players to camp, attends multiple sporting events in support of our student athletes, last year, after his first football season, you could see him and many of his players at basketball games supporting the others in the building. And he hosts the annual football golf outing, greet kids every morning. He is like another staff person. He's here greeting kids every morning, and also started a powerlifting program. Board, have I missed anything? Did you want to say anything more? I know Mr. Overgar also has a lot of praises.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Hadley is such a blessing to our community, not only for our athletes, but for our students. I mean, whether it's high school, he's at the middle school constantly, he's at the elementary building. He's extremely invested in our students and our community, and it's very evident. So thank you for all you do.
And he brought his wife, which is also wonderful. She's also great. There she is taking the video. There you go. She's hiding down there. So, Coach, we want you to wear this Above and Beyond pin, and you get your own personal GA Rams pen. And if you, yes, do you want to get a picture with us?
Yes.
All right.
No, I don't need to be in the picture.
Yes. Come on, you gotta be in the picture. Come on. We know he doesn't do this by himself.
You support him,
right?
everything he does.
That's right. It's a team. No doubt about it. Okay. And I know there's lots of players out there, right? On the count of three, everybody say, "Go, Coach Hadley! Go, Coach Hadley!" And next under reports is another celebration. It is the high school celebration.
We can go together now. Hello? Oh.
You don't need that.
All right, so I'm standing in for Scotty Walker, who wanted me to celebrate our solo ensemble that was on February 4th. We had a handful of students recognized, so if I can get Corbin, Karina, and Sophie up here. Is anybody else here that's Oh, Jaden, got it. Okay, so we've got our trombone quartet. Who was in the trombone quartet? You three? Who are you missing? Gabe. And Gabe's not here today. And you guys got a division, let me see it. Division 1 rating. Give it up for him. And then Sophie over here. Sophie plays the trumpet, and you did a solo, and you also earned a Division 1 rating. So give it up for that. All right, get in for a picture then. Number 1. We gotta everybody put number 1 up. Here we go.
Number 1.
I'm Mike Woodard, the high school athletic director. I have the pleasure of introducing a couple teams and a few individual athletes. First, Coach Klimp. Did she make it in here? Coach Klimp, come on up here. Volleyball coach. Volleyball coach, and then Coach Jonathan, assistant coach, and then the girls varsity volleyball team. So come on out here. They won. So back in the fall, so their season's been over a little while, but they won the Central Division in our league, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, known as the SAC. So Central Division champions and first league recognition, I think, since like 15 years or so. So good job. Picture real quick. Maybe you have to squeeze in a little bit.
Hey, come
there. Muscles on 3. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Next up, this past winter, Varsity boys basketball team. So I'll call Coach Brian Dolph up first, and then the team up here right after him. So Coach Dolph. And then we have a bunch of them. I don't know if everybody was able to make it, but guys, come on up here with your coach. So these guys went undefeated in their division. So they won the Central Division, 10-0 in the division. But they also set the school record for wins at 17 this year. So good job, guys.
Yes, please, if we could scoot a little bit together.
Yeah, maybe a couple rows.
No, you're all tall, so that makes it more comfortable.
Hey,
no, I'm not. You gotta.
Work is it? I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. Woo-hoo!
All right, so I saw Coach Champion. Did Coach Rance make it? I don't think he's here. So, Coach Champion, come on up. So, Coach Champion is one half of our high school wrestling coaching. We had a couple individuals this year. First time the Michigan High School Athletic Association started their own division for female wrestlers. And so we had two that did well at regionals that qualified them for the state finals. So we have Shay Simons. And Caitlin Valladolid. So both were state qualifiers. And Shay was able to finish in the top 8 that made her all-state wrestler for this year. So good job. And here's the best part. They're only freshmen. So they got 3 more years. You got something?
Yes. There were 450 female wrestlers at the state competition this year. Only 50 of them were freshmen, and only a handful got a medal.
There you go.
On either side.
You go in the middle.
I'll go in the middle.
1, 2, 3, go wrestling! Woo!
Last, going to call Coach Hadley. You're welcome. Coach Hadley back up. So it was mentioned that Coach Hadley also runs our off-season weightlifting program, but they actually have a club program that's not a state-recognized sport yet, but it's recognized at the club level. And he oversaw that, and we had several athletes that participated in regional, competitions. And then a couple of them qualified at the state level. One, I don't think he ever made it, did he?
No.
So one that I'll talk about last, and I'll fill you on that one. We'll get to him. But Jaden Klimp, back up here. He qualified at the state level for the JV division. So congratulations to Jaden. And the other one, I'll take responsibility, miscommunication, but Caden Smeltzer. He made it. Caden was fully informed he was home napping, and so sorry about the miscommunication. So Caden actually qualified at the varsity level. So I didn't say your place, right? He finished 7th at the JV level, and you were 6th, right? So 6th place at the varsity level and 7th place at the JV level. So congratulations.
No, stay there. Take it easy.
So we got some fun.
Thank you. Thank you for making it.
Welcome.
Huh?
I know, I was waiting for a flex. Look.
Okay, done with the celebrations. Just amazing students, amazing staff. It's great to see all of the amazing things that are happening at GA, so thank you. Next up under reports is the bond update.
So I know I shared some of it in my bond update to you this weekend. We just opened the bids for the multi-purpose edition last Thursday. We had a good turnout. Lots of contractors showed up for the opening. And at that time, we knew we were right close to the amount that was actually budgeted. So we knew we were a little nervous. We are starting to go through those. We've had post-bid interviews yesterday and today. It's looking like we're getting a little closer. So that part is good. Remember that next Monday is our special board meeting where we will make a recommendation to the board for the contractors. Their work will actually get started in August. The first thing that we'll have to do is create those exits that, because the end doors will be cut off. They will be blocked off for the construction. So that will be one of the first things we do. Lots of work. And I think we've got some good contractors that are known to do some quality work. So pretty exciting. And just also the reminder that we're going to do a walkthrough. So a special board meeting to walk through the primary school edition and then the athletic stadium. And that's going to be June 5 before our committee of the whole. You'll have to wear a hard hat. You're not allowed to go anywhere without a hard hat. And if you already have gone out there, you've probably seen it, driven by, you've seen a lot of work. So I can't wait to see where we are June 5th. So make sure that's on your calendar. Okay? We'll start at the primary school. And I think that's all.
Okay, and next up under reports is review of the educational material for the high school library.
Okay, so I know that I've shared several of these things already with you in board updates. Given that there's also questions from the community, I'll kind of start a little bit farther back. As you know, we received several parent complaints about a book that had some graphics in it that they were concerned about, right? At the time, I think several of you sent me concerned emails. I asked Lindsay, the high school principal, to share it with me. Let's say what it looks like. I was not familiar with the book. And we did check it out. And I have read it. I know Diana has read it. And yes, if you would like to borrow a copy, you may also read it. I very much want to assure the public, and I know I've had this conversation with our high school media clerk as well, that you are not a board that is interested in banning books. In fact, if there is a high school around where LGBTQ kids come because of how inclusive it is, and that goes out to the staff, right, and the other students in this building, it is this district. So I think it's very, very important that people realize that this is not what's happening in Texas. This is not what's happening in Florida. This is a concern, and when we have concerns, there is board policy that we need to look at it. And so, the policy is pretty old, right? So we're going to need to update it. It was written, I think, in 2012 or 16, and today's a different day. Part of the reason is that because there are so many more books out there written for young adolescents. It's been a huge, huge increase, which we value so much, because those books do speak to young people. And it is about inclusivity. And the majority of the parents that I've talked to, I want to assure the board as well, Mr. Nig put words to it as well, and I have shared this also with the high school, that this is not about exclusion. Okay? This is, and I use the word simply, even though I know folks in here won't like that word, it really is about when we put a book on the shelf, right, does it in all ways, and in this case the graphic, because it's a graphic novel. This is a new genre, right, that we haven't had a I don't know, not really a lot of experience with a lot of us, because we didn't grow up with graphic novels. My son did. I got to read all the ones that were written in Japanese, because that's what he loved. They are a great genre, and a lot of kids get interested in them. It, I think, is what has caused the concern, however, because of the drawings. While you might call them cartoons, I think that it is a book. I think graphic novels are more than cartoons. Okay, they really are meant, in this case, it's a memoir. I have read the book, and it will speak to students, right, and children who may be having these struggles. No doubt about it. And we're not taking issue with that. There may be some other parents who are, but that is not those who have come to me. So we actually have 2 board policies that we're working through, and we have one that's called controversial issues, as I've shared with you, and the other is when there's a complaint about instructional materials. So we do have a committee. It is, I guess in some ways you'd call it ad hoc, so that we could address this issue. Over the summer, we'll work on updating our policies. We'll work with attorneys to make sure that we're, up to date, right, with the laws, and also making sure we're being inclusive in that process. But for now, I talked with our administrative team, our leadership team, and to create what we feel is a balanced group, we have included all of our library clerks who work in the district, and recognize too that I love the fact that, who was it that's the librarian? Is it Jessie? No. Oh, look it up. No, Jennifer. Jennifer is a librarian. All I can think about is I wish we still graduated librarians from the Department of Education, because they cut those out a long time ago. So we have library clerks. I know there's been a question about how those decisions are made. I'm going to save that for a different day, because this is a different topic. We have a couple of parents from our reproductive health committee. We have one parent who has made a complaint. And again, we have the 3 library clerks and administrators. So we're going to do a thorough review. We're going to ask critical questions, and ultimately, this committee will make a recommendation based on the majority to you. Okay, and this recommendation will come to you. We'll make sure that it's thorough. So in that way, I want to thank everybody here, because I think it has given you a good sense of how books like this, because they're representing kids that may be in our district, right, are probably in our district, and at the same time concerns, right? So you've heard an expansive opinion, and that's what having a board meeting in the public is about. So we're going to take all of that into consideration as we work tomorrow, and if we need more time, we'll take more time. We're not going to rush it. We're going to get started tomorrow. Let me see if there was anything else that was asked that... the other thing I wanted to mention, and I've had this, this was one of my early on conversations with our high school media clerk, and I think I shared this with you. I asked, as we check out this book, so that we can review it, are there other books on our shelves that any LGBTQ student in our building can go to, can review, so that read, so that there are books still supporting them. I wanted to make sure that there were others there for kids, and he assured me that there was. So I feel good about that. I know he's worked really hard we have worked hard as a district, even bringing in other types of books. You can talk to our media clerk at the primary school. He's doing the same, I know, at the middle school, because that is who we are at GA. That is absolutely who we are. So I will give you an update after tomorrow, and my hope is that we can bring you a recommendation in May, unless we feel like we need more time. Do you have any questions for me?
This statement was made, the alternate statement was made that there was other books being looked at to potentially pull. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate. Thank you for bringing that up. I have received, this is the only book under review. I guess I'll put it that way. So when someone said we're out to ban books, that's not happening. Okay, we've had this question right here. If there are other complaints about any other books, our goal is to have I guess a very reasoned, research-based process that we will then take those in the future. But for this now, it's just one book. And again, it's not the contents as much as it is because it's a graphic novel. Okay? That was a great question, Chrissy. Anything else that I might have missed? Okay, that's my update.
Okay, next up under reports is the middle school principal selection.
Very excited that we have several individuals. We interviewed 5. It was a small team of our administrators, just a screen. Sometimes we can look good on paper. We want to make sure that before we send them to the middle school for their thorough vetting that we have some good quality candidates, and we do. I'm working through some phone calls just to get some background on these 3 individuals, and next Thursday is when we're planning to do our second round. So I sent an email off to the middle school staff who would like to participate. I think we have a neat idea planned. We are going to bring in the candidates before school is over, and each of them will be meeting with a group of students. I did this once with an assistant principal I was hiring, and it's just like, here they are, go. And they ought to be able to do that, right, if they want to be a middle school principal. So we're kind of excited about that. We know our kids, they'll be very respectful. And then there will be a group of parents, staff, and then administration that they will do a round through those 3 groups as well. The hope certainly would be at the end of next week we'll have a recommendation. And yeah, we're very excited about it, even though we know it's going to be hard to fill Shayna's shoes, right? We all know that, and we're all nervous, right? I think the GA will have a good person to join us. So, any questions? Okay. Yes. Thursday the 27th? Thank you. That's when the interviews are. If I miss like 2 weeks.
Next up under reports is strategic planning session for June 19th.
You mostly just want to make sure that those of you who can attend can. We've had a lot of interest, staff that I've spoken to already. We do have invites already ready, so I'd like to make sure you get one of those. Administrators, I would like you to get one. We will be at Eaton Corp for probably 9 to 4, even though it says 4:30. He thinks he'll get us out of there at 4. We'll be revisiting our mission, vision statement, and then establishing our next 1 to 3 year goals. Lots of data. I sent you all of data reports that are verbatim from the survey, and they should be out on the website if Nicole had a chance to do that. So very excited. I've asked, so there'll be a couple of Eaton Corp individuals there from our partnership with Eaton Cummins. I've also asked 2 individuals who are helping develop the programming for the Career Tech Center. I want to make sure that we don't miss that element of the future for our kids. So, and then we will be sending out the rest of our invites over the next week. If you have someone you think from the community that would be a good fit, let us know. I know not everybody we ask is going to be able to be there, but hopefully we'll have, a good number, 30, maybe 40, and their voices at the table. Jessica, do you have a question?
I'm just going to see if we can put some by the door.
Sure. There you go. Yeah.
Kyle, and don't see my agenda now. Okay. Nope, you're good. Next up under reports is the Superintendent Evaluation Committee report. So that's just
Ben, Diana, Wendy, and myself met to go over her goals. Wendy shared a copy of her goals with us. We discussed a calendar that will follow us to do a modification of the evaluation process in May, and then a full evaluation in November. So we're trying to switch the evaluation process to December so that the board is here for a full year before they evaluate her. That's kind of the new process.
And data.
And that's when we'll have all of our pieces of data. That was my next line on here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do kind of a mini evaluation on May 1st, and then the full one on November 6th. Any questions? Okay.
One second. Okay, so basically I just handed each of you the evaluation tool that we use, which comes from MASB, Michigan Association of School Board. And then we also have the superintendent's goals and how they are linked to each part of the evaluation tool. And then, yeah. So in May, we are going to come back at the COW, the superintendent evaluation tool. You'll want to go through there and do your own evaluation. Then in May, what we do is we come back and we all meet as a group and we come up with one evaluation score. So we all work together to come up with that. Oh, yes. I like paper, but it is sent to you in your email also. So if you want to do it electronically, it is available that way.
And we all did our superintendent evaluation training through MASB. Did you guys?
Yep.
Awesome, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so we should be good.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody has to be trained, all board members, to be able to do the evaluation, and everybody has been trained. So, yep, we are good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And then next up under 7 business items for discussion is A, the monthly budget discussion. Philip.
Yeah. So you have a report through March 31st, which represents 75% of our fiscal year. Nothing really to highlight. The 2 notes there are carryovers from prior months. So we're working on the final budget for this year and also the projected budget for next year. We'll have that for the Finance Committee meeting in May.
That should be on your list, right? Okay. Budget is difficult. It's one of the most difficult things about education and being a board member. So we are going to, I think it's this week, right? Is our meeting with Philip to kind of go over what a local school district's budget is. Do I have that right?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday, there it is. I can't find it on the list. Right. Sometimes it takes a big picture, and then hopefully as we get into the details in our committee of the whole, it's going to make more sense. So we appreciate Philip taking the time to do that for us.
Okay.
The other thing is, as Philip said, we're working on this budget and then projecting for next year's. We've been working as a principal team to look at what we're doing, things that we're purchasing. Can we go without those? Do we need to do something else? I think I've shared with you that it's been a couple of years since we've looked at some of our curriculum, so there's definitely curriculum needs that we have to look at. And then as far as next year, I have not yet heard anything about a budget. So all we have so far is the governor's budget. I did hear, I think that there's a supplemental bill to this school year that may be coming through, but it's unfortunate because we're getting closer to the end of school and we have to begin making projections about next year. So hopefully we'll have something before we have to get to that point.
Would you want me to do the next one? Okay. Yeah. So next up under business items for discussion is the KRESA biennial election. Wow, that was hard to say. Basically, each school board has to send a representative to KRESA to vote on their board. So we have to come up with a representative who's going to go and then an alternative to go and vote. I've done it a lot of times. It's like you're there 10 minutes. It's pretty quick. And from my understanding, the same number of people are running that there are positions. So yeah, it's not a complicated process. Yep. And yeah, this part is just to nominate the person to go and then the alternate. Do we know what day that is? Okay, June 5th.
That's also a day we have other things. So is it during the day or is that at
Yes,
10 a.m.?
that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Do you do at a certain time? Or just
Yeah, no, if it's at a certain time. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Is there anybody that would really like to do it, just for the fun of it? If not, I can go. I've done it a bunch of times and know where to
Do
go.
you know what time that
Yeah.
is?
Well, their board meeting today was at 5. And I went to listen to the interview the new suit, but
So it might overlap with our
Yeah.
breakfast.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, if it is a board meeting, but it's either 5 or 6. Yeah.
If there's no conflicting things, I would love if you would represent us.
And then who wants to be the alternate? I won't miss it, but we do have to list an alternate.
Thank you, Jessica. You guys are cool. Yeah, we appreciate it.
It really is very exciting. Yes, it is.
So controversial.
Okay. So next up under communications is public participation. This can be on anything. Once again, still have the 3-minute time limit. That's about it. Has anybody else signed up over there? I do have one.
Go ahead. No,
Okay.
I was just going to ask. I didn't sign up. Do I need to?
Just go ahead and sign up and we'll come grab it. Thank you. And Teresa, you can come on up.
I was going to be the only one. Okay, sorry. Hello. I'm Teresa Shepard. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a special ed teacher here at the high school. I'm here as a teacher to represent some of my fellow colleagues who couldn't make it tonight, had a couple things that they wanted me to mention. First and foremost, I'd like to say is one of the first things that, so people ask you all the time in this career, like, why do you teach there? Why do you stay there? Why, right? Like, whatever, just in general, doesn't matter, goods, bads, or indifferent. One of, like, the top 3 things I always say is, like, we are such a small school, and it blows me away how inclusive we are, right? I teach special ed, right? So inclusivity is super important to me. I talk about it all the time, diversity, all those types of things, right? I say that all the time, so I'm really happy. I'm always promoting those wonderful things about us. In relation to some of the things that my colleagues would like to say is you hire us to be professionals in our domain. The library has increased student involvement, student checks out, and library exposure. That can't be a coincidence that when our books that represent inclusion start showing up, library performance increases. I've worked here for 9 years. We've never had this many clubs or like people want to hang out in the library or like get lunch library passes. It's like the cool thing to do, which was like, I mean, it's not that cool, but it's really cool around here to hang out in the library, which can't just be because of Jared, right? Books are supposed to be the window to the world that we never have known in order to help us learn about those other worlds, right? We look at all types of things. If we think about National Geographic, the pictures in National Geographic, whew, sometimes I'm like, whoa, we're showing those in schools? I mean, we have National Geographic. The true way to grow as a person is to challenge ourselves. The term cognitive dissonance means that in order to grow as people, we need to face things that are uncomfortable.
What does this show our students if the adults, when we face a challenge, we back down, we lose all credibility? So we stand up to make sure that we're here for our students and for to make sure that we're inclusive. We have several books in our library that are pretty explicit around all topics, including sex, race, gender, and drugs. It gets a little sticky if we start with one, because we might need to read all of them. And then the last question I have as part of the teachers is, are any teachers on this committee? Or will any teachers be on the committee, specifically maybe English teachers? That would be my last. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is it Jeff Lane?
No, this one might have some juice. Sorry it was not on earlier. Oh, now it's working.
Sorry, Teresa, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I think it's already not.
Hi, Al. I'm here because my grandkids go to school here, and I think I'd like to thank you for keeping things in proper perspective about what the graphic novels are not just cartoons, and it is a different genre. But that being said, I think I've read the book too, and I think there's more. I don't know. In my opinion, it's pornographic. I didn't know that this meeting was tonight. I found out just today, and I didn't have time to prepare. But I'm glad you have a committee to look at these things. I think you should look at all books, like what you say, National Geographic. I know but I just mean if it meets the criteria to be to not belong here, then it doesn't belong here. And it's that simple. It's I don't know. I think, in my opinion, it's not. Our kids should learn about life from their parents and their grandparents. I think the schools are failing because they're not teaching kids how to read, how to do arithmetic, and writing. I think we can do that. I think there are zillions of books that don't involve critical race theory or transsexual books of that nature, anything to do with sex. I think it's our responsibility to teach our children about sex. And I don't know. I appreciate you guys' time to look into this matter, and I think I would be happy if issues like this were on the ballot, because I think a whole bunch of people came in here to stand up for what they believe in. And if I'd known, I didn't sign up earlier because I expected more people that may feel as I do to stand up here and speak, and I just wanted I don't know. I think if you look at if it was on a ballot and you look at the whole community, I'd be happy to support the decision they come up with and how they vote on it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Corey Hinga.
Excuse me. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just wanted to just speak on part of the book as well. Having 2 children in the district, and in a few more years we'll have all 3 of our children in the district. I work in education in a different district. We live in a 3rd district, and my wife and I choose to bring our children here to Galesburg as school of choice, and this is where we've chosen our kids to go. Our problem with the book, speaking for my family, is not anything to do with inclusion or exclusion, is not anything to do with the fact that it involves a different demographic than what society might, or what might be being pushed here in an agenda. It's strictly the fact that it has sexual content, sexually graphic material in the book, nude drawings, ones displaying lewd sex acts, including masturbation, oral sex, sex toys, kissing in implied sex positions, erections, a fantasy image of a man holding a young boy genitals. Those are all just things that don't belong in school, regardless of the sexual orientation of the book. So strictly, I think a large part of this is being pushed towards the fact that it does involve the LGBTQ community. And honestly, that has no bearing on my feeling towards the book. I have reviewed the book as well. I have no problem with 95 or more % of the book. It's strictly those few images. And again, I would just ask that you guys, when you do review it, please take a look at all parts of it. And I thank you for doing so.
Okay, next up is Heather Casting. And Heather, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's Caston or Casting.
Caston, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I should know that.
Right. And this is my sidekick, Aaron, who's coming up here too.
I'm on the paper next, so.
So I just want to start off with the book I think is pornographic, just down to it. Is the #1 banned book in the United States in all the schools. #1 banned book. Having set that aside, the fact that a faculty member went to social media who does not have kids in this district, doesn't have anything other than a job, that hurts me. And our school does not need that publicity whatsoever. It's sad. I grew up here. My mom did. My grandma, we don't need it. As a small school, it was horrible. And then on to another one. I'm a parent of a 6th and 7th grader. I work at the school. We have some bad kids in our school. We have kids that are constantly vaping in school. We have kids that are getting kicked out. They don't come to school. Our truancy officer has to go to their house. We have one child that has been suspended. He came to school today. He rode the bus to school. He got off the bus. He entered our building. He walked until our principal caught him, and he said nothing but profanity to her. He threatened staff members. He threatened my child, his child, and another child, the man in the back right there, threatened that when he comes back to school, he's going to take care of them. Same with the staff member. Something needs to be done with these kids. They can't keep getting kicked out of school because it doesn't work.
Their parents don't care. We personally have a harassment police report on one of the kids, and I'm going to be adding the other kids to it because it went around town this weekend that when my kid comes to school, they were going to jump him. Mm-hmm. 2 kids hid out until he walked through, and the 3rd kid jumped out. They said, "Here, go."
That was this morning.
That was this morning.
With one of the children.
The middle school is doing great about it, but we need to go above them and get these kids out here.
I work with these kids every single day, and
it started on the internet as harassment towards my daughter. My son stepped in because they're twins, said, "Stop making fun of my sister." It come to my wife. I don't know how these kids are getting kids messaging my wife. My kids shouldn't be scared to come to school here.
we had a lot of kids scared this morning.
My daughter is a wreck right now because this kid showed up to school. Oh, we gotta suspend him. His dad don't care. The cops went there. His dad just sat there like, I don't care. You can't keep letting this happen because we got kids that don't want to come to school.
Mm-hmm. And I found out after school that my son was not in school today because his allergies are horrible, but a child had threatened that he's going to hit him when he shows up at school tomorrow.
And they threatened my kid not with specific weapons, but I'm going to bring my 8 friends and we're going to bring things.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right for middle school.
And a couple, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Ashley Kaufman.
So I came up here once to talk about the book. I don't believe I mentioned I've been a member of this community for about 10 years. I'm working in this community, and through that I have spoken to various members of this community who I would just like to understand, or it to be understood, I suppose, that I've seen a lot of different perspectives, and I do know how important it is that some people are represented. And with that, you mentioned that it was going to be based entirely upon the contents of the book, and I would like to remind you again, you said that it was because it was a graphic novel that the issue comes up. The point of a graphic novel is that these things are represented by the images. And that you also mentioned that you went through the other books that represent LGBTQ+. I'm sorry, were there any other books that use these particular pronouns? You said you read it. What are those pronouns? Are you allowed to answer at the moment or no? Okay, well, they are EMR, not he, she, not they. Are there any other books on those shelves that use those particular pronouns? Because part of the story that is so important is this particular person's struggle finding something that they felt comfortable with in their identity, these pronouns. Do you plan, if you pull the book, to replace that book with something that includes that representation? Also, you said that the intention is not to ban a list of books, but I would like to ask, where is your line? I can list at least 4 titles that I've seen since I've been in here that have very explicit sex scenes. I can think of at least probably 3 that are in this. Yeah, I can think of one in particular that I know is here that has a very explicit rape scene. It's very straight, rape scene. Is that something that you guys are going to consider when you consider this one image? Again, the purpose of a graphic novel is to represent things through the images used. And also, the idea that this community can choose what other people are reading and thinking and doing makes me not feel very comfortable in this community. And I know that it's not just this community that has this issue, but if you don't feel comfortable letting your children read something, that is something that you need to communicate with your children. That's your responsibility. If there's another child whose family is not involved in what they are doing and they need to know something and they need to feel like their voice is also being represented, this might be a safe place for them. This might be their only safe place. And I would like not only for the board and the people voting on this to consider that, but the community behind me.
Okay, and next up is 9 closed session for purpose of negotiations. So we'll be going into closed session, then coming out after that. So if you wanted to stay for the end of the board meeting, you would just have to wait outside, and then we'll open the doors back up after the closed session. Yeah, guys, we'll go into closed session like 8:25. Oh, you need like, we got to let Oh, I think it's 8:21. Like, oh, wait, that long. Can I have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll support.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. What time do you guys want? 8:10?
Yeah.
I didn't really want to post like the agenda. I know. Okay. I know, but I did. I sent it out to all 12, so I'm going to send an email. Because I sent it out before I got all 3 different messages.
I mean, only those people should be in the group, but even that's better than putting it on the Facebook page, because people can take, okay.
That's however you want to do it. Or just post it.
I know, I love it.
I sent it to all.